Hi friends, today we're going to look at multiplying a binomial by a trinomial. There's two different ways to do this, and I want to show you both with the same problem. So we'll hope that the answer comes out the same both ways. It will. All right, the first way I want to look at this is, I wrote FOIL. So we're not going to FOIL it because we don't have a binomial by a binomial. But we're going to use the same idea as we had in FOIL. Let me show you what I mean. The problem that we're going to work is x plus 2 in parentheses times 3x squared minus 4x plus 1, also in parentheses. So when I say FOIL, what I really mean is we're going to multiply each term in the first binomial by each term in the trinomial. So I'm going to draw some arcs across the top to kind of show you what I mean. So I'm going to draw an arc to connect the x and the 3x squared. We'll multiply that together. So x times 3x squared gives me 3x cubed. Then I'm going to connect the x and the minus 4x with an arc. So we have x times minus 4x gives me minus 4x squared. And then finally, I'm going to multiply the x by the third term in the binomial. I have an x times a positive 1, just gives me plus x. So that was me multiplying the x part through that trinomial. Now, let's do the plus 2 part. So along the bottom, I'm going to draw those arcs. So I'll do the first one to connect 2 and 3x squared to give me 6x squared. Then I'll draw another arc from 2 to negative 4x to give me minus 8x. And then finally, 2 times positive 1 gives me plus 2. Okay, so I've written all of these terms out. I have 3x cubed minus 4x squared plus x plus 6x squared minus 8x plus 2. That's great. We need to go back and collect up our like terms. So I have minus 4x squared and plus 6x squared. Those are like terms. I also have plus 1x and minus 8x are like terms. So let's simplify this a little bit. So I'll write down 3x cubed. Then I'll combine minus 4x and plus 6x squared. Sorry, that was minus 4x squared plus 6x squared, which would give me 2x squared. Then plus 1x minus 8x gives me minus 7x. And finally, that plus 2 on the end. So my final answer would be 3x cubed plus 2x squared minus 7x plus 2. All right. That is one way to work this problem. It works. It does require you to stay really organized. And if you notice, I marked this up so that I did not lose anything along the way. And I'm going to be honest, when I am working a problem like this in the MRC, I mark it up. Otherwise, I'm likely to lose part of my problem. So the box method is another way to organize it. And let's look at how this looks on a binomial times a trinomial. This time, instead of drawing a square, I'm going to draw a rectangle. I'm going to divide it horizontally down the middle, and that's going to be so that I can write my x plus 2 on the outside for that binomial. Now, if you have not watched my video on box method multiplying a binomial by a binomial, I'm going to suggest you pause, go back and watch that, and then come back here. All right, so the top row is going to be for x, and the bottom is for the plus 2. That takes care of that binomial we're multiplying by. Vertically, I'm going to divide this into 3 pieces. And I do that because I have 3 terms in this trinomial that we're multiplying by. And I will write one term over each column. So 3x squared over the first one, minus 4x over the middle column, and plus 1 over the last column. Now here's the cool part. This does the organization for me, so I can't lose a term. I really do like that. So just like before, we will multiply what's on the outside and write it on the inside of each cell or rectangle. So I'll start with the first row. X times 3x squared gives me 3x cubed, so I'll write that in the top left-hand box. X times minus 4x is minus 4x squared. That will go in the center top box. And then finally, x times positive 1 is plus x, and that's going to go in the right-hand top box. Across that second row, I have 2 times 3x squared gives me 6x squared. In the center lower box, I have 2 times negative 4x is minus 8x. And then in that lower right-hand box, 2 times positive 1 gives me plus 2. Notice with the box method, also like the FOIL method, I'm careful to keep my signs along the way so that when I go to add them up, it's easier for me to remember positive and negative. All right. Looking down those diagonals, you're going to see some like terms. So 6x squared and minus 4x squared are like terms. Also, minus 8x squared and positive x are like terms. And I like to circle those to remind myself that I need to combine them when I write them down. All right, let's write down the contents of this rectangle so that we can find our answer. So 3x cubed. I'm going to combine 6x squared and minus 4x squared to give me positive 2x squared. Next, I'll combine minus 8x and plus x to give me minus 7x. And finally, plus 2. All right, so same problem, same answer, work 2 different ways. Both work just as well as each other. Use which one that works best for you.